You ever have that feeling at work? You know the one. You're the person doing all the real work, the nitty-gritty stuff. You know the system inside and out. But when it comes time for a promotion, you're just overlooked. You feel stuck. Well, it turns out there's a name for that feeling, and for the system that creates it. We're going to talk about the clerical trap and the pyramid of decoders.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's that feeling of getting a great job or a pat on the back for all your hard work. But when it comes to a bigger salary or a better title, you hit a brick wall. You're appreciated, sure, but you are not truly valued. So let's break down exactly why this happens.
All right, first up, this whole feeling of being essential but getting no real reward, it has a name. It's called the clerical trap. And it's a specific dynamic that, honestly, a lot of us fall into without ever even seeing it. And here's the really twisted part of this trap. Your manager actually wants you to be an expert on the how. They encourage you to master every single tiny detail. But, and this is the catch, the better you get at that foundational work, the more you kind of cement your status as a clerk in their eyes. You become essential for doing, but not for leading. Now, this trap isn't just about one bad manager. Nope, it's part of a much bigger system. And this is what the source material calls the pyramid of decoders. It's the whole organizational structure that makes the clerical trap even possible. So picture this pyramid. It's got 3 layers. Right at the bottom, you have the clerks. These are the doers, the people deep in the weeds, finding the actual solutions to problems. Then, in the middle, you have the decoders. These are the managers. Their main job is to take all that complex stuff and translate it into a super simplified language for their bosses. And then, way up at the top, you've got upper management, who only ever see that simplified, decoded version of what's really going on. And that's really the main job of that middle layer. The clerk figures it all out, but it's the manager who wraps it up in fancy jargon and business speak to present it up the chain. See, they're not just managing the work, they are managing the perception of the work. And here is the great irony in all of this. The leaders at the top, they demand simplicity, but by doing that, they become completely disconnected from the so-called simple stuff, the actual essential work that keeps the lights on. They're only seeing the summary, not the reality. So, what happens when a clerk decides, hey, I want to move up? They see how the system works and they think, you know what? I can do that. And this is where their journey as a senior clerk in training really begins. And the path is usually pretty predictable. First, you get really, really good at the detailed work. Then, you start picking up on your manager's lingo, all the buzzwords, how they frame things. You learn how to decode. And once you finally understand the game, you start to question them, thinking, okay, I'm ready for that next step. And this right here, this is the critical moment. The clerk has done everything they were supposed to do, they've mastered the job, they've learned the language of management, they challenge the status quo, believing they've earned that promotion. So what happens? The trap slams shut. Even after proving they can think and operate at a higher level, the system's response is to keep them exactly where they are. The pats on the back continue, but any chance of advancement just stops, dead in its tracks. And the reasons why? Well, they're all about power. The manager's job is safe because they are the one upper management trusts to translate everything. So when a clerk challenges that, it's not seen as ambition, it's seen as a threat. They might even get reminded of some past failure or things they could have done better, just to reinforce the idea that they belong right where they are. Okay, let's zoom out again for a second, because this isn't just a personal problem for the clerk. This whole pyramid structure creates a deeply, deeply dysfunctional organization, and the consequences of that ripple all the way to the top. And this is where you start to see all the bloat. I mean, look at this. A simple, effective team might have 2 people doing the work and 1 person leading them. But in this pyramid system, you still have 2 people doing the work, but now you have a manager, and a senior manager, and a department head, all layered on top, basically just decoding for each other. And what happens over time is that the business owner becomes a prisoner in their own company. They literally can't connect with the actual work anymore. Their only view into how things are running is through this layer of decoders, who, of course, have every reason to keep things exactly as they are. So this is where the whole dysfunctional system really shows its true colors. What happens when this bloated, inefficient company starts losing money? When the tough choices have to be made? The first person to get the axe is the clerk. Yeah, The person doing the actual, essential, foundational work is considered the most expendable. The decoders, the ones who just manage perceptions, they protect their own jobs. And the person creating the real value gets shown the door. And what about the clerk who survives the layoff? Oh, the trap just gets tighter. Now they're doing the work of two people, which makes them even more essential in that clerk role. They're so swamped just doing the work, they have absolutely no hope of ever getting out. They're basically guaranteed to stay a clerk forever. So, all of this brings us to the biggest question at the very heart of this structure. Who really holds the value in a company? Is it the person actually doing the work? Or is it the person who's good at explaining the work? The doer versus the decoder. So let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, this kind of system ends up valuing the simplification of work more than the actual work itself. Second, the decoders become these incredibly powerful gatekeepers of information. Third, this whole thing leads to bloated, top-heavy organizations. And finally, in the most painful twist, the people who are most essential can become the most expendable. And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. I want you to take a hard look at your own organization, your own team. Who gets the rewards? Who gets the promotions and all the recognition? Is it the person with their hands on the keyboard actually solving the problems? Or is it the person who knows how to put those solutions into a really slick PowerPoint deck? In your world, who is valued more, the doer or the decoder?